For those of you that have followed me for any period of time, you'll know that heat stroke is one of my soapbox issues. And every year when we have one of these massive heat waves like we're having in most of the country right now, I debate, should I even post anything, or have I kind of beat it to death? And then I have a day like yesterday. And so yesterday I did a workout on the bike trail here in town. And during that workout, during my bike ride, I saw a overweight Chihuahua being run by its owner, a black shepherd paying fetch in the dog park, and a husky being walked on a nature trail through very tall grass. All three of the dogs looked absolutely miserable and on the verge of tapping out for their owners. And it made me realize that some people just don't realize the dangers of heat stroke until it's too late. And two, we're always having new dog owners that for the first time have to exercise their dogs in these types of conditions. And so here we are today posting about heat stroke with the temperatures being the way that they are. And so you see this morning, I'm doing interval work here on a wooded trail. For those of you that run, note that I did not say speed work. That's no longer the case for me here in middle age. And so you'll notice one thing missing, and that's the dogs. And so even though I'm in the shade, it's early in the morning, it's still too hot for them. And so if we take a look, the temperature right now is in the mid 70s, and the humidity though is also in the low 80s. And so for me, the point of reference that I use is when I add the temperature and the humidity together, if that number is greater than 150, which it would be in this case, I don't exercise the dogs, and I feel that we're in a danger zone. And I got that information from a Southern veterinarian over 20 years ago at the start of my career. And it's really held true. With my own dogs, typically I'll even err at a lower number than that. And so inevitably on these types of videos, I will have people from Florida or someplace else in the South post and say, well, if we don't exercise our dogs in those heats, then we're never going to get to exercise our dog. And I'll say that's partially true. And what I mean by that is there are some dogs that are able to exercise in this type of heat. I helped for years start the local NAVDA club, and I was amazed at some of the wire hairs in the club that could do duck searches on days like today. And they didn't at all tap out in the heat, and they actually looked good doing that. What I will say to you folks down south is that my wife did practice for the first 8 years of her career in South Florida, and you all kill dogs in the heat as well down there. And I would actually say maybe even more so than we do in this part of the country. And so just because you have a heat tolerant dog and you live in an environment where you do exercise in the heat, it doesn't mean that all dogs in that area are designed for that. And then particularly as we get in this part of the country where we have these dogs that are not acclimated to this heat. And so thankfully we had some cool days this weekend. The dogs got out, got plenty of exercise. It was a good weekend of exercise. But now for the rest of the week, they're going to probably be on the couch, just outside for short little periods to go to the bathroom, stretch their legs. But they're not going to exercise on days like today when the heat and humidity are the way that they are. And so the big thing I'd say is be cautious during these types of heat waves. Don't push your dogs. Don't think that they're going to lose all kinds of fitness. You'll be able to make those fitness gains back up when the temperature cools down. No amount of fitness, and this is coming from a guy who devoted his entire career to canine fitness and longevity. No amount of fitness is worth putting your dog's life at risk. And I will say, every year, people kill dogs with heat stroke. Don't do it. Put your dog in the air conditioning. If you feel like taking a run, just know that it's miserable, but don't put your dog at risk. It's not worth it.